I am Marie Brown, and my channel is Minds in Motion, where we talk about financial freedom, investing, and becoming the best versions of ourselves. If you haven't yet, I would ask that you subscribe to my channel. And if you like the content that you see here in the video today, please click like and comment below. So today I want to talk about the 5 levels of wealth. One day, as I was scrolling through YouTube doing my daily learning activities, I ran across an episode on the Money Guy show where they were talking about the 5 levels of wealth. I took notes because I thought it was very interesting to see what level of wealth that I was on. So once I go through all 5 levels, I will then talk about the level of wealth that I'm on and how I got there. So, level one is financial stability. And per the Money Guy show, they stated that financial stability is when you can pay your bills. Now, in this episode, they gave a whole bunch of statistics that I took notes on and I want to refer to in this video today. The first statistic that they referred to is 40% of Americans struggle to pay for food, housing, utility, and health care. Something that I always say, and when I made a post about this on Facebook, it was very, I would say, I got mixed emotions, is that it's not just about how much you make, but also how much you keep is more important. There's a lot of people who make a lot of money and still are broke, still in a financial bind, still can't afford to pay their bills. And this goes back to money management, which is something that a lot of us didn't learn. A lot of times growing up, our parents either hid the financial struggles or they just didn't talk about them. And for those of us that grew up in lack or poverty, the only reason that we knew that we were struggling is because it was just so obvious in our living conditions. So, in order to be on level one, financial stability, it says that people in this category pay their bills off in full. Also, try to invest where they can, such as 401ks, bonds, CDs. These are low risk investments, but they also have a low return. But at least they're doing something. And at least these type of investments, depending on how much you're putting in and what your return is, they can beat inflation. And last but not least, the people that are on level one of wealth, they learn to live off less than what they make. I always talk about paying yourself first. Don't eat your seed. You got to sow something in order to reap a benefit later. Now, the people that are not on level one, which is just being able to pay their bills, these people only pay the minimum monthly payments. So that means they're paying the bare minimum. They're paying whatever they can. They probably have a balance left over going into the next month. Also, these people that are not on level one, they're living off of every dollar they earn. They need to learn how to budget their money. They need to cut out some of the unnecessary expenses, subscriptions, and things that people try to buy to accomplish happiness, which only lasts for a short period of time. And then you're looking for the next high or you're looking for the next thing to make you happy. And then last but not least, they don't budget their money. They're not managing their money. They don't know how much outflow they have compared to how much inflow they have, meaning they don't know their total expenses based on the income that they have coming in. So that is the first level of wealth, financial stability, being able to pay your bills. The level two of wealth is financial planning. You know why you're saving and what you're saving for. Another statistic is 35% of Americans have 3 to 6 months of an emergency savings or an emergency fund. The first time I ever heard about an emergency fund, I would say was probably 2015, 2016. At our job, we had a financial planning meeting and they talked about having an emergency fund. The next time that I heard about an emergency fund was when I found Dave Ramsey on YouTube. He talks about his step one in the baby steps is have at least $1,000 in an emergency fund. Then once you get to whatever step it is, the next thing is to have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. And then once you reach a certain level of wealth, they say that you want to have maybe a year of expenses in an emergency fund. The best thing that I can tell people is, like Dave Ramsey says, start off with something small, even if it's $500. If that's a big step for you, start off with $500 in the emergency fund, but at least have something. There's so many people that can't even afford a $300 emergency. I mean, one emergency and they're in a financial situation where they can't pay their bills, they can't pay their rent. So it's important that you don't live off of every penny that you earn, that you learn to pay yourself first, and that you have something saved up in case of an emergency. The next thing that they talk about on level two of wealth is 21% of Americans have nothing saved. So I know that me personally, growing up, I was always a good saver, but there was times when I would just spend money uselessly. I would spend money that I didn't need to spend, and I would deplete my savings, and I would have to start over and over again. So now, knowing what I know and being a parent and having responsibilities, the money that I put in my savings, I put in a high yield savings account, and I don't touch that money. I budget my money. I plan for the luxuries and the things that I want. And the money that I put in my savings, I leave it there. I don't touch it. It's there for an emergency. It's there for if something happens. It's there if I really need it for something. But I don't have it there just for the purpose of spending money. And that's why I also suggest that people should have multiple checking accounts or multiple savings accounts, where you can't just transfer the money out of one account into another account, where you make it a little hard on yourself to get to that money that you're saving for an emergency fund. And then last but not least, 10% of Americans have at least 11 to 15% in savings, which is 15% is the bare minimum. So, I mean, just that statistic alone lets you know that a lot of us need to learn how to manage our money, and a lot of us need to be more intentional about paying ourselves first and saving money. When it says that only 10% of Americans have at least 11 to 15% saved, and they tell you that you should at least save 15% of whatever you make. Me personally, I used to save 30%, but starting in June, I wanted to be more disciplined. I wanted to be more frugal, so I started saving 50% of my income. And I know everybody can't save 50% of their income, but we have a two-income household, and it was my decision that I was going to save 50% of my income and invest. I invest about 30% of my income because I'm trying to reach financial freedom and retire early. Now, some of the things that cause people to be able to be on level two is saving more than 25% in an automatic savings method, meaning that you automate your savings. Me personally, I have 50% of my income come straight out of my checking account right into a separate savings account, a high yield savings account. It's an online company. There is no brick and mortar bank. So in order for me to get that money, I either have to transfer it into one of my other accounts and wait 3 days, or I have to pay a fee in order to get that money, which means that it gives me time to think about spending that money before I actually touch it, because I can't just access it right away. Another step that helps you be on level two or makes you a good financial planner, which is the level two of wealth, is track your net worth, update your financial topics. You're up to date on your financial topics, You know about investment accounts, you know about retirement funds, you know about HSA accounts. You are intentional about your money. You are putting your money to work, and you are paying attention to the things that you need to do in order to reach financial freedom and become wealthy. Now, some of the things that hold people back from being on level two is saving money in the wrong places, meaning you're just saving your money in a money market account or in an account that's not paying you any interest. I always tell people to at least have a minimum 2% interest on wherever you're saving your money. This at least beats inflation. Um, Holding cash. I mean, guys, we're in 2019. There is no reason why you should have any cash stashed under the mattress or just holding large sums of cash. Put that money in a high yielding savings account. And last but not least, lifestyle inflation. I will include a card right above with a video that I made on lifestyle inflation, and you can learn more about lifestyle inflation. A lot of people, when they make more money, they spend more money instead of saving more money. So that's what lifestyle inflation is. But again, I will include a link to the video that I made on lifestyle inflation. This is also a good time for you to click that like button and also subscribe if you haven't. It really helps out the channel. Now, step 3 to your 5 steps of wealth is financial security. And what they said financial security is you don't sweat the small stuff. So on your financial journey, when you're at the level of financial security, it gets a little easier. You're not so stressed out about money. You're not worried about every penny. You're not worried about what if an emergency happens. You're prepared for whatever comes your way pretty much financially. Another statistic that they gave at step 3 was the average American eats out 4 to 5 times a week. On average, they spend about $240 a month eating out. Now, I have to say I am very bad at this because I have a very busy schedule. I get up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I have to drive my daughter to school. I have to be at work by 8:15. I usually don't get home until around 5:30. I usually go to the gym for about 45 minutes to an hour every day. We have homework to do. And literally, I think that because of my lack of time, we usually eat out, or I have a weekly meal prep subscription that I get, which costs me about $100 a week, but I get 10 meals. So I will say that I'm one of these Americans that probably eat out 4 to 5 times a week, but I do try to use discounts. We're a part of a lot of rewards programs. So usually for 3 people, we can eat out at under $30, $10 each. And we usually only do it, like I said, maybe 4 to 5 times a week. Sometimes on the weekend, we might eat out twice a day. However, I am doing all the things that I need to do, and I do budget that into my spending for the week. The next thing is, one of the statistics that they gave is 36% of Americans eat fast food daily. And I think that, again, is because of time. People are busy. Me personally, I try not to eat fast food. We usually, like I said, go out to restaurants where I'm a part of their rewards or perks program where we can get a meal free, or we go out on nights that kids eat free and things like that. Even though we do eat out a lot, we are very what do you want to say? We're very intentional. We're good at managing our costs on eating out. I would say for a 3-person household, we maybe spend 10 to 20% more than what you would spend by just going to the grocery store. But the time that I'm saving is, to me, more important than the 10 or 20% that I'm spending by eating out, because my day is just very busy. All the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm working on to create financial freedom, I feel like they're more important than the maybe 10 to 20% that I'm spending extra by eating out. Now, those that are, of course, in step 3, the things that they do is they can afford to spend money on things that they couldn't afford to spend money on in step 1 and 2. And last but not least, they can afford nicer, I would say, luxuries. Like they can afford maybe a nicer car. They can afford, maybe some brands that they like. They can afford maybe a nicer house. And the one thing that I always try to tell people is, Dave Ramsey, he talks about being very frugal, I feel like he talks about being extreme when it comes to spending money. Me personally, on my financial freedom journey, I only spend money on things that are important to me. So, meaning I don't buy name brands. Even when I go shopping for clothes or shoes, I pretty much shop on the clearance. I pretty much buy things at the best price, that I can. I do my research. I look around for sales, clearances, and things like that. Things that are important to me that I spend money on, that I put in my budget, is things like travel or vacation, things like that. I'm really not into brands, so I don't spend my money on those type of things. But there are things that I enjoy doing that I do spend money on, but I do budget for those things. I don't just go out and spend money on those things without planning ahead on what it is that I'm going to be spending money on. So I think that's very important when you're on your financial journey. And I think it also has to do with your current situation. I only have one child. We have a two-income household, and we're saving over 50% of our incomes. So the money that we have left, we keep our rent low, we keep our liability low. We don't have a lot of bills that we have to pay. We just pay the basic bills, utility, rent, insurance, things like that. We don't have a lot of extra expenses. So that money that a lot of people spend on expenses that they probably don't really need, we save that money and we plan for our vacations and the trips and things that we enjoy doing that create meaningful experiences for us. So, people that are not on step three, the reason why they're not on step three is probably because they go overboard with their spending. They're not doing their research. They're spending money without considering what it is that they're spending money on. And a lot of times, people that can afford to be in financial security, they spend a lot of their money flexing, showing off, buying fads, buying name brands, trying to impress others, looking more wealthy than they really are, keeping up with the Joneses. Or they also don't pay attention to their current income, and they think that they will always have this money. And again, I work in sales and I see this all the time. People that make a lot of money, a lot of them don't realize that at any moment that income could be gone. You could get hurt, or your company could shut down, or they could lay people off. I mean, there's tons of things that could happen that cause you to go from a large income to having to, go to a lower income. Maybe your spouse could get injured and you lose one of the incomes in your household. So I always say, plan as though you will not have that income tomorrow, because you really don't know if you are going to have that income tomorrow. So let's move on to step 4, or level 4 of wealth, is financial freedom, which is my goal. I want to be in financial freedom probably in the next 5 years. That's really my goal. And when I say financial freedom, I mean really just being able to do what I love. And for me, retirement is not working, it's doing what I love. I don't see myself as not working. I'm an active person. I do love getting out, doing things. I love helping people. So for me, being in financial freedom means being able to do what I love and not having to work because I need money, but doing it because that's what I love to do. So financial freedom is doing what you want, when you want, and how you want. 66% of the U.S. population would quit their job at any moment, not loyal to their employer. I mean, 66% of Americans are just willing to quit their job at any moment. I mean, that means if you're upset with your boss, or if you're having a bad day, you're willing to just quit your job. It says that 53% of people are going to work out of obligation, whether they desire or not being engaged. I mean, most people just have a job because they need a job. They got to pay their bills. They got to support their families. They got to eat. They got to pay for the car. They got to put gas. They got to put food on the table. That's the only reason why they're going to work. 53% of people go to work because they have to, not because they want to. So if you're on track to financial freedom, that means that you know what financial independence looks like for you. You have a well detailed plan on becoming financially independent. That's what it means to be in financial freedom. Also, you enjoy or you look forward to going to work, meaning that you're not just going to work because you have to. You actually get up every morning on time, early. You arrive to work in a good mood. You love going to work. And it doesn't mean that you just necessarily love what you're doing or you're doing what you love. It just means that you're going to work because you know that there is a bigger purpose at the end of the day. You're going to work with the plan in mind that you're going to accomplish financial freedom, retire early, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Those are the things that motivate you and inspire you to get up every day and go to work. So you don't go to work out of obligation to a job or making money. You go to work out of obligation to yourself and your goals and your aspirations. Now, those that are not reaching financial freedom, it's because they get in a rut. You get on step 3, you get on step 2, you get on step 1, and you get stuck. You get complacent. You're just don't have any goals. You don't have anything that's inspiring you or motivating you to get to that next level. Also, they oversimplify spending money. They set meaningless financial goals and they make financial decisions without reasons. So many people spend money on things and they say things like, well, if I didn't spend it on this, I would spend it on something else. Or, so and so, they spend a lot of money on this. They compare themselves to other people or they compare their spending to what other people do. I learned this again from watching Dave Ramsey is you have to be intentional about your money. You have to put your money to work. You have to tell your money where to go or else you'll spend your whole life being a slave for money instead of making money your slave. You got to put your money to work so that you don't spend your whole life working for it. And in order to do that, you have to have a plan for your money. You have to have a budget for your money. You have to be intentional with your money. And you have to know what it is that you are going to be doing with your money and what it is that you need in order to reach your financial goals. You got to have a plan, guys. And then last but not least, the final level of wealth, number 5, is financial abundance. And financial abundance is money ain't a thing, basically, is what they said. It gives you the ability to live a life of sole purpose, giving and creating a legacy. Guys, that's the American dream, if you ask me. That is definitely my end all goal is financial abundance. Definitely, I have one child. I don't plan on having another one. But I want to leave a legacy for my child, for my grandchildren, just for my family in general. I want to be able to help my family reach financial freedom. I want to be there for those that need. I want to live a life of giving. That's part of the reason why I want to retire early is so that I can give to others, so that I can teach others how to reach financial freedom or get to financial abundance. They say unless you bring somebody with you, then you really didn't do anything when it comes to being wealthy. So, how do you get to financial abundance? You focus on the quality of experiences and not really the cost of experiences. Excuse me, that's what financial abundance is. When you're in financial abundance, you focus on the quality of experiences, not the cost of experiences. And last but not least, in financial abundance, you can stop focusing on yourself and you can help or invest back into others. Your cup is running over, your cup is in overflow, and you can run over into other people. So guys, once you reach level 5, that means that you have more money than you could ever need. You have done everything you needed to do to get to where you wanted to be in life, and now you can help others get to where they want to be. You can give back. You can live a life of giving. You're already in abundance. You have more than what you need, so you can help others. You can give to others. You can create a legacy. You can build a foundation that will last beyond your life, guys. And like I said, that is the end all goal. Level 5, financial abundance. So now that we went through all 5 levels of wealth. And I just want to recap really quick. Number 1 is financial stability. You can pay your bills. Number 2 is financial planning. You know why you're saving and what for. Level 3 is financial security. You don't sweat the small stuff. Level 4 is financial freedom, doing what you want, when you want, and how you want. And last but not least, the end all goal, which is financial abundance. Level 5, money ain't a thing, gives you the ability to live the life of soul purpose, giving, and creating a legacy. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and now I want to talk about what level I am on and how I got there. So currently I would say I'm on level 3, financial security. I don't sweat the small stuff. Again, how I got there, I would say, is 1, in 2015, I found the book The Secret, which taught me about the law of attraction. A lot of us focus so much on the things that we don't want that we attract more of that in our lives. We don't want to be broke. We don't want to struggle. And those are the things that we feed our energy to. Those are the things that we talk about and we think about constantly. So we keep getting more of that. After reading the book The Secret and learning about the law of attraction, I began to focus only on what I wanted, which is to earn a certain amount of money, to have a certain amount of money in my bank account, to live a certain type of life, to get at a certain level of wealth. Those are the things that I focus on. Those are the things that I think about constantly. Those are the things that I put out into the environment. Those are the things that I talk about constantly. I never speak lack. I never speak poverty. I always speak abundance. I always speak progress and wealth in my life because those are the things that I want to attract. Second is, like I said before, I learned about money management. I learned how to truly manage my money and put my money to work and tell my money where it was going to go, what it was going to do. And I learned how to, budget my money better. I've always been a good saver. However, there's been times that I've blew money or I've spent money unnecessarily, or I just did not have a true goal for what it was I was saving for. I was just saving not to be broke, saving just to have money in the bank. And I would always plateau at a certain amount of money. Well, once I learned about budgeting and what it was that I wanted to save for and putting my money to work, then I broke that plateau. I broke that point that I always got stuck at, and I was able to grow my savings more and more and more. The next thing that got me to step 3, which is financial security, is I started learning about investing. I started learning about how the wealthy got wealthy. I started reading books about money. I started watching YouTube videos about money, and I started learning about paying myself first, living off less than what I made, and just, like I said, being very intentional with my money and setting detailed goals for myself and what it was that I wanted to accomplish financially. And then I would say lastly is I set some very, very high goals for myself, and I also set some short-term goals for myself of things that I wanted to do. And then I just began to surround myself with people that had like-minded people that had some similar goals that I had. Like I said, in July, I started saving 50% of my income. I was very intentional about everything that I spent money on, and I still am. I only spend money on things that are, meaningful to me, and I don't spend money on things that don't, give me the experiences and the things that I desire in life. And last but not least, I invest in myself. Like I said, I read a lot of books. I watch a lot of videos. I look for strategies and ways that I can reach my goal. And those are the things that I focus my time and my attention on. So now I can say that I'm at a point in my life where I'm at financial security. I don't have to sweat the small stuff. I know that if there is an emergency or something happens, I'm prepared for those things. I'm investing. I'm planning for retirement. I have goals set for myself, and I'm doing the things that I need to do to get to level 4, and finally the end all, which is level 5, financial abundance. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to this channel, and I will leave a link below so that you guys can check out the full video on the Money Guy Show, and you can find out what level of wealth that you're on. Thank you, guys.